Let's discuss this further and bring in Dr. Rob Jonquière, who's the Communications Director of the World Federation of Right to Die Societies, and Bijan Tavasoli from the German Left Party. Welcome both to the programme. It's great to have you with us. First question, please, to Dr. Jonquière. In case euthanasia does become a regular service performed by private companies, do you think we could, or do you worry that we could end up in a situation where these companies are going to be putting profits before human life?
I am not afraid, because in reality you're posing euthanasia as a business issue or a business model. But euthanasia is only on the request of the person who is going to die. And if this person is not asking for it, there should not be any euthanasia. And I am, at least what we see in the Benelux and in the rest of the world where assisted dying is legalized or regulated anyway, we don't see any thing like advertising or making it a business.
This question to Bijan Tavasoli. Those in favour of euthanasia, they say it's everybody's right to decide if they want to end their life and do so with dignity and without pain. Is that something you would agree with?
Absolutely. Everybody should have the right to commit suicide if they want to. That's a natural right of man that no one should take from them. But we're talking about a very different thing here. Today's court decision was about commercial assisted suicide. The paragraph 217 of the Penal Code already allows for free suicide assistance. It even allows you to pay someone as long as that someone is a relative of yours. This decision allows commercial providers to provide suicide assistance, like a McDonald's of suicide. And this is something that our society clearly does not want. And so the democratic decision makers in parliament have continued to decide against it. And the court overruling that is a dangerous precedent of non-democratic decision by this court.
So should euthanasia become a regular service, do you see the concept of assisted suicide snowballing out of control here?
I don't.
Absolutely.
I don't see it.
If you look at psychological issues here, for example, there's the junge Werther effect, where if you talk about suicide in the media, then many people that would not otherwise commit suicide do in fact commit suicide. And this is why every report in the media of suicide always shows people where they can go, where they can find help, and the media try to minimize reports of suicide. And so if we see commercial advertising, we will see many people seeing that as an easy way out.
A same question to Don. Yeah, please go ahead.
Yep. I think the presentation of this issue as if it is going to be commercialized is because the ruling in 2015 actually said that an assisted suicide, which was already legal in Germany before 2015, it should not be made a point of issue from commercial issues. But even that was a very debatable issue. And I think that what happened with the ruling in 2015 was that relatives were going to be the ones who were going to assist someone in a suicide. And now that it is away, the ruling, it is possible for doctors. And I certainly object to talking about McDonald's giving suicide assistance, because that is absolutely a wrong framing of the whole issue.
Suicide remains a very controversial topic. Does it worry you that as a result of it being marketed as yet another service, do you think that people are going to become desensitized to suicide?
I think people are going desensitized about talking about dying and about death. And the whole problem is that some people do not want to die or wait with the dying till they are finally suffering too much, and they want to keep their dignity and make their own choices. And by this ruling from the Constitutional Court, it is possible for that person to ask a professional to give a proper and medically assisted suicide. And I think that is a great gain of this constitutional decision.
Same question to Bijan. Tell me, what are your biggest concerns here?
My concern is that it could be normalized to a degree that other people, relatives or friends, could exert pressure on someone to actually go through assisted suicide, even if that person would not otherwise consider.
Oh dear, I think we seem to have lost the connection with Bijan Tavasoli there. Let's continue for a couple more questions with Dr. Jean Kier.
Yes.
Just one more question for you, please. Are you sure that it will be terminally ill patients only and not for instance, people suffering from mental illness who will opt for euthanasia if assisted dying is made readily available? Are we going to see a lot more of these people suffering with depression, anorexia, these kinds of mental health issues, opting for suicide before turning to other options for help?
I think, first of all, it is not per se about terminal illness. It is about a person who is suffering unbearably and hopelessly. There has been a lot of treatment, and probably people who ask for assisted suicide or assisted dying have already followed all kinds of palliative care trajectories and so on. And they ask for assistance by a professional. So not by a McDonald, by a professional. And that is a doctor. And a doctor is only, well, he is allowed by law anyway to help now. He was not allowed before this constitutional ruling. So he's allowed to assist the medical aid in dying. And he is making it sure that the patient only gets the aid when it is really impossible to do any other trajectory. And we see in the Netherlands, in the Belgium, where we have more than 30 years of experience, we don't see this slope going down with more and more people, with people giving pressure, people asking just because they want to die. They may ask, but they won't get it. And that is all the fact that if you ask assistance from a professional, he only will provide the assistance if he can stand behind this issue.
I do. I think we have Bijan Tavasoli back with us now. Bijan, can you hear us in the studio?
Yes, I'm very sorry.
Oh, fantastic. You're back. One question for you, please, Bijan. What are the other avenues of treatment would you suggest in place of euthanasia if someone is so determined that they want to end their lives? What would you encourage them to do beforehand? I mean, and do you think euthanasia should still be available in some exceptional cases, or are you dead against it?
I'm absolutely against commercial assisted suicide. And I think that the court ruling is logical because many drugs, heroin, LSD, and other strong drugs remain classified and illegal in all cases in Germany. So if the court wants to put forward personal autonomy, then why shouldn't people who don't see any reason to continue to live try to use drugs? And I'm not in favor of drugs, but it makes no sense to say you can't use drugs and we won't legalize drugs, but we allow you to die. I think it is a perverse sign of late capitalism in Germany that we are now putting price tags on human lives.
OK, I'm afraid that's all we have time for. It's been a very interesting conversation. Thank you both for joining us. Dr. Rob-Jean Kier, the Communications Director of the World Federation of Right to Die Societies, and Bijan Tavasoli from the German Left Party. Thank you very much.
OK.